Thank you, Juan. And now Juan will give us some more details of the accountability project. Please, Juan.
Hello, Susan. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Juan Ocampo, PhD Fellow at Greender 2030 Graduate School. I'm part of Lund School of Economic and Management. So, as Suhan explained, with Lina Van Doren, who is part of the panel talk tonight, we've been working for 6 months on the topic of accountability. Having discussed in our compendium what accountability was from each perspective, we thought that we could take further the discussion into a more creative and interdisciplinary frame. So to do that, we developed a 3-stage seminar. Based on the creative synthesis framework, we try to unpack the concept of accountability and observe different perspectives that connected sustainable development and accountability. But before we get into this, I want to ask you, what does Margaret Mead, lead figure in feminist anthropology, Norbert Wiener, one of the most influential persons in artificial intelligence, and Hutchinson, one of the, also known as the father of ecology? Any idea? Well, besides being top of researchers in their fields, they were part of the Macy Conference in 1943. This conference brought together brave minds of the time to discuss their own problems and try to find new innovative solutions to the issues. So they encountered different problems. I think one of them was to deal with their egos, but something that they really had to deal with was the topic of language. Well, as one of them said, the conference interdisciplinary concepts could only be elaborated further and developed with the aid of a language that was more general for all. And so to approach this, what we did was we developed the first event of our seminar. In this event, what we did was to bring all the group together and try to discuss and unpack what each of us thought accountability was. So from this event, what we find out that was the word accountability included around 24 different perspectives of the fields that already Suhan talked about. And in this, we identified different patterns related to transparency, trade-offs, and leaving no one behind. The second step was a subgroup discussion to trigger sense-making processes. So now that we had some common language and some concepts, what we wanted is to trigger a discussion amongst the fellows to get a little bit in depth of what accountability was. So to do this, what we asked them was to think about the stakeholders that were involved in the accountability and what were the consequences of having accountability in the context of sustainable development. The third step was a final individual reflection. In this step, what we wanted was to get them to think a little bit about what the whole process and take this into a more meta reflection. So we asked 2 questions. The first one, what was that they learned in the activity, both in the writing exercise and all the discussion we had? And the second one was, what were the challenges that faced during this activity? This, of course, had a more, the objective of this question was about interdisciplinarity. So we could start thinking about where we could go in the future. So perhaps we're still a bit far from the Macy Conference, but this is a start, and we think it's a good start. So today, what you're going to see in this panel talk is one of the products of this interdisciplinary trial. So thank you very much, and we hope you enjoyed the panel discussion, and also keep in mind all the questions that we have been discussing through this presentation. Thank you, Susanne.
Thank you very much, Susan and Juan. After finalizing that project, the PhD candidates decided that we need to organize a panel discussion focused on the role accountability plays in the transformation towards a global sustainable development.